Thank you, Dean Clyde. Thank you, President Dean and UNH for including me in your graduation. It's such an honor to celebrate with you, and I'm so proud of the university's record of having the oldest sustainability program in higher education in the U.S. Graduates, please join me in thanking the faculty and staff and the parents and families who are here today. And I want to especially thank Dean Levine for inviting me here today. So graduates, before I get started, I need you to do something for me, and that is recite "Okay, Boomer" at once, okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good, we've got that out of the way. On your graduation day, I'm honored to share what I've learned on my path of organizing and advocacy and what I've learned from birds in the field. There was no straight line between my graduate degree and retirement, but the path involved UNH, beginning 48 years ago as a freshman, including 2 decades of mentoring students and organizing them, scientists and faculty, here on this campus to engage the state legislature, members of Congress, and the White House. And continuing today on the Sea Grant Advisory Committee. So on a wintry night in 1976, trudging from Stoke Hall to Diamond Library, as I walked under the lights of T Hall, a student handed me a ticket. "Meet President Ford at the Field House this Sunday," he said. What was the president doing in Durham? I still have that ticket. My introduction to the New Hampshire presidential primary and to the significance of organizing campaigns as a means towards policies I cared about. 41 years ago this week, I completed my master's in wildlife biology, and early on, I failed to get my dream job. Those failures hurt a lot, but I was fortunate to have my parents and my wife Mona there to support me. Tired of waiting tables in 1986, I answered an ad in the local paper, and I was soon canvassing door to door for the League of Conservation Voters. It seemed random, but I was interested. And I went for it. And you're going to run into random opportunities too after graduation, and I say go for it. Because by 1988, I was the National Field Director for the League, responsible for contributing support to the campaigns of environmental candidates running for Congress. I recruited and trained people to organize, to put events together, to get out the vote. Among the recruits was a UNH graduate student in literature. I placed her on the US Senate campaign of the late Joe Lieberman. Her organizing changed the prospects of Joe's campaign, and he beat the incumbent. On election night, Joe asked my organizer to stay on as his policy director in Washington. I was still at LCV in 1991 when I was told to organize a global warming education campaign in Florida. That was the beginning of my climate change education. And that 9-month Florida campaign, leading up to Florida's presidential straw poll and the 1992 presidential primary here in New Hampshire, fused together for the first time global warming and national politics. I left the League in '94, and I served in Washington as a special assistant to Interior Secretary Bruce Babbitt, who I met here on the campaign trail when he was running for president. I was later detailed to the White House Council on Environmental Quality to help execute President Clinton's controversial American Heritage River Initiative. And I recall spending days in North Carolina on a river community listening to vocal suspicions of federal government overreach and learning of their point of view. And ultimately, we did win that community's trust. They did change their position. They applied for Heritage River status and even agreed to host the President and Vice President Gore at the announcement. My young family and I returned to New Hampshire in late '99, and I worked in a boutique public relations firm in Exeter. I was handed a nonprofit client focused on global warming solutions called Clean Air, Cool Planet. I met their first intern, a young UNH English major named Jen Andrews. Together we accomplished many things, including the Summer Climate Fellowship Program and organizing 300 volunteers to successfully place a climate resolution on the ballot in 185 New Hampshire towns. And that was prior to the 2008 presidential primary. And today, Jen is project director here at the Sustainability Institute. And under her leadership, the Climate Fellows transformed and grew into the university's summer fellowship program. And few experiences have been more rewarding to me than working with, mentoring, and learning from these summer fellows and following their impacts across the country. So what's organizing taught me? Well, first, continuing education is essential on people and culture and content. A good organizer leaves something behind that grows and thrives. A good organizer is in partnership with the community. Dr. Jim Grunig, Professor Emeritus at the University of Maryland, I learned from him that people behave when three things fall into place. They're aware of an issue, they see that it affects them personally, and they can do something about it. And a good organizer can help build awareness, and a good organizer can help provide measurable options to do something about the problem. But a good organizer and a leader must relinquish control and give that control to the community to sort out. It's that middle thing, how the issue affects people personally, where we have to give that control to the community. A good organizer must use the facts and be right, but must never be self-righteous. And these lessons prepared me to contribute to the mission of the Union of Concerned Scientists and organizing people with advanced degrees who are concerned, very concerned, and occasionally really pissed off at the state we're in. They are engineers, business leaders, artists, senators, health professionals, research scientists, Nobel laureates. This describes you and the future you. But what compelled me to organize for strong environmental policies in the first place was the wonder of birds. I would not have fallen for birds and the science and joy of them if it were not for my undergraduate advisor, Dr. Arthur Bohr. He encouraged me to develop a senior research project with the Management Bird Observatory, and leading me to pursue an advanced degree. And incredibly, it's 41 years ago this week that my advisors signed off on my master's thesis on bird communities in northern forests. Back then, the Orr House restaurant in Portsmouth, and maybe some of you have reservations for tonight, was my sole source of income as a graduate student. I worked on my master's by day and I waited tables by night. And talking to restaurant patrons about birds always led to better tips. But birds taught me a couple of things. First, they taught me that diversity matters to birds and to us. As people, we diverge widely in our appetite for the concept and realities of climate change, and negative climate impacts are not experienced evenly. The late Robert Shin, New Jersey's longest-serving environment commissioner, told me that each day this diversity compelled him to deal with 4 different sciences of global warming. Climate science, of course, but popular science in the media, political science in the legislature, and science fiction from corporations, what we call today deception and greenwashing. Birds taught me that song is important to birds and to us. Song and the visual arts, literature, poetry, history, and religion, they're critical to people's understanding of our shifting climate, our interpretations of what it means, and what we can do about it. So I'm going to add a 5th science to Bob Shin's list, and that's social science, which returns me to diversity and to you. Climate science, popular, political, and social science, and greenwashing. All of you have skills and knowledge that can deal with these sciences and with sustainability. And the world needs all of your skills in every area of civil society. Your advanced degrees will lead many of you to become opinion leaders, and you can be influential. After today, some of you will remain in basic research to advance learning and human understanding in your fields using the scientific method. Some of you will apply your advanced degree in an institution, classroom, or business translating your specialty in ways to help your organization succeed. And some of you will use your education to become an advocate for change in the areas most important to you. The diversity you bring is all good. Sustainability and confronting climate change are shared experiences, and we need everyone on board. Sustainability and climate action need all of you and all of us. I've not reached my finish line, but a new starting line, and the same goes for you graduates. Advancing sustainability has no expiration date. And while I'm at it, protecting democracy and protecting free speech have no expiration dates. We have to continue to work to protect all of them. I encourage you to read a beautiful poem by Amanda Gorman called New Day's Lyric. It's particularly appropriate for today. And until then, I'll leave you with the poem's closing stanza. Come over, join this day just begun, for wherever we come together, we will forever overcome. Let's be on this starting line together. Congratulations, and thank you.